Before we get into today's festivities, let me just talk to you guys for a second. The reason why I love comics so much is because no matter what you're going through, when you're reading those pages for whatever length of time it takes you, you are free of your issues. I have not had the greatest 3 weeks when it comes to family and my job. And I'm not bitching to you because everybody has problems. I mean, everybody. Just for me, when I'm reading the comics, there's no money issues, there's no family issues, there's no issues with your coworkers or your supervisors. I'm just free in the story. And hopefully comics does the same for you. Like, even watching these videos, I leave out a lot. So hopefully you guys are still going and reading these stories and you're supporting your local comic book shop. Or if you're like me and you don't have a local comic book shop together, you just get your comics from like Kindle or you download them. And also I want to add that Gerry Duggan catches a lot of bullshit when it comes to being an X-writer. Like, he's like the least talented one of the bunch. Now, I love them all, but Gerry Duggan catches a lot of flack. This story is almost perfect from beginning to end, and I enjoy the hell out of his writing when it comes to him writing for the X books. Now that we're almost 2 minutes in, which is really bad, but I just had to talk to you guys for a second. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We are concluding our coverage of the Fall of the House of X with number 5. So the story starts off with Bargain Bin Sinister. Can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I kind of miss him just a little bit. And he's pretty much talking to Phelan, trying to recruit him, and he's talking about how when Magneto was talking to the world leaders and pretty much telling them that they got new guys now. And Phelan is pretty much like, you don't gotta pitch me hard, dude. I'm in. The mutant stole Mars from me. I remember in Iron Man number 18 when Phelan was trying to talk to Magneto, and Magneto was like, who are you, dude? Like, I'm sorry, that was a funny moment for me. Anyway, they're bringing this up in the story to pretty much reflect that there is no human element in Orchis no more. It is all AI. And we see Nimrod putting it on Wolverine. I mean, this whole left side of his jaw is gone. But we also see that the X-Men were able to take out the whole machine that was going to take out the Earth's atmosphere. Because, you know, without an atmosphere, we couldn't breathe. And that pretty much takes out humans and mutants. So, I guess some would be okay. Like, Juggernaut doesn't have to breathe. I don't think Colossus has to breathe either. Anyway, let's move on. So on the next page, we see that Nimrod is making Wolverine's right side match his left side, which that means he is not pretty right now. But Nimrod is beating up on people in 3 different locations. He's beating up Wolverine in space. He's also in New York City, and he's also in Washington, D.C., where he's about to go up against Polaire. So you know that's going to be a heavyweight fight. And it's about to get even heavier because we see on the next page that Magneto is there to help out his baby girl. So in New York, you got Sync. He's tapping into Sunfire's powers. He's trying to pretty much heat up the metal that Nimrod is made out of. And then Emma comes in her diamond forms, knocks the hell out of Nimrod to try to crack him open. You got Manifold and Magic coming from behind, but Nimrod sees him and it hits him with a blast. So back in space, you got Cyclops and you got Nightcrawler. And they're pretty much talking about how they're trying to sabotage the space station. When Psylocke starts talking to everybody telepathically, and she's like, guys, it's Psylocke. Colossus got punched into space, and I almost can't see him. Now, you know Nimrod is just showing out when he could punch somebody the size of Colossus into space. So Cyclops is like, go get him, just come back. So Nightcrawler's like, all right, Psylocke, show me what you see so I can go get him. And then he bamps out of there. So now it smells like farts. And as soon as Nightcrawler leaves, Nimrod shows up. So now we cut to the control room where Omega Sentinel's trying to undo whatever Nightcrawler did. And out of nowhere, Rogue comes through the floor, knocks her over. Omega Sentinel's like, what are you guys doing? Look, Xavier cut a deal. Like, you guys need to calm down. We're going to let you live. But she's like, if you don't like that deal, then I guess we're going to have to deal with a few of you guys. But what Rogue was a decoy. Because Psylocke comes from behind out of nowhere hits her with a psionic sigh in her head and pretty much goes, no deal. So then Psylocke's like, weird, that was supposed to kill her. Well, Mega Sentinel's on the ground and she gets pretty much like mothering, sorry it went bad. So the Rogue's like, oh, well, let me step in. It's about to step on her head. And Psylocke's like, no, don't do a Rogue. I pretty much fried the Sentinel part of her brain. So this is Karima. This is her human brain and it's drowning in regret. So she's pretty much in hell right now. So then Psylocke and Rogue are trying to attack Nimrod and Nimrod ain't having that. And he hits them with a blast. So the Nightcrawler bamps back into the battlefield. So it smells like farts. And he's got Colossus, and Colossus goes and knocks the hell out of Nimrod, and Colossus is bleeding from his mouth. So Nimrod must have punched him so hard that here is internal bleeding going on. So Nimrod pretty much shakes it off and backhand Colossus right into the middle of next week, which is better than into space. And then he's about to stomp the yard with Nightcrawler and Magic when all of a sudden this huge optic blast comes out of nowhere and knocks the hell out of Nimrod. So Cyclops, who is beat up, is pretty much yelling, I'll never let you kill the X-Men. And then Nimrod is pretty much thinking to himself, I've been through this simulation millions of times. And Cyclops is always the last X-Men standing. He's the last person I got to deal with. And Cyclops' optic blast is actually doing damage to Nimrod. But because he went through the simulations, his body is able to pretty much adapt to his blast and pretty much grab Cyclops by the neck and says one of the coldest lines I've ever heard Nimrod say. He goes, I don't know if there's a next life for you, but I promise you, if there is, I will follow. So then we also see that in New York, Sync and Emma Frost is being held by the neck. And in Washington, D.C., Magneto and Polaris are being held by the neck. And all three Nimrods are pretty much saying, any last words? And then Cyclops is like, she's not going to let you kill me. And Nimrod's like, is that more prattle about your dead wife? And he goes, no. Allow me to introduce you to Storm. And she is bringing down more lightning than she brung down on Famine. And if you read X-Men Red, you know she frickin' seed Famine. And she is screaming, there will be no more death. And they're like, there was billions of calculations and it always ended with Cyclops. None of them ever considered that Storm would be the last mutant standing. So Storm's like, hello brother, I missed you. And Cyclops is like, same here, the floor is yours. And her electricity is not just affecting the one in space, but it's also going through all the other ones in Washington, D.C. and New York. So obviously Magneto recognizes that this is Storm's work, and he goes to Polaris and goes, electricity and magnetism, they go hand in hand, and then they start going to work on Nimrod. So Storm's heart is still in the right place, and she's trying to pretty much plead with Nimrod to pretty much tell him to just give up. And Nimrod's like, nah, there ain't gonna be no giving up here. So he tries to hit her with a blast, and then Cyclops hits it with an optic blast and goes, hey, you big dumb machines, he's trying to give you an out. So the Nimrod swings on her, Storm gets out the way, takes the lightning like they're like knives and pretty much cuts into Nimrod. Cyclops hits him with an optic blast in the same spot and pretty much goes, there goes the crack. And then Storm sends all kinds of lightning straight through that crack. So Storm sent so much lightning through the one in space that the one in New York is pretty much experiencing the same damn thing. So the Sync sees it and goes, that's Storm. Might as well go ahead and do the same thing. So he starts producing all kinds of lightning. Magneto is pretty much producing a negative magnetic field. Polaris is producing a positive magnetic field. So this Nimrod, yeah, he's about to have a bad day. So now there is so much lightning being produced by Storm and now Sync that even the Nimrods that are being hidden for later use are being affected by this. And Nimrod is still trying to talk shit. He's like, you vermin, you will follow me into, and then he starts talking to ones and zeros, breaking this dude down to his programming. So Nimrod is pretty much done, like he's KO'd. And Storm's like, if you see yourself wandering back to life, maybe you should pick a different path. So Monet brings Omega Sentinel. She's still chanting, so much death, I'm so sorry. So then Cyclops is pretty much like, hey look, Quine and let me know what the hell went down and you need to take advantage of the second chance. And Omega Sentinel's like, call me Karima. So Wolverine's face is healed up, but his arm looks horrible. So then Cyclops like, we need to leave now because this place is about to blow. And then Manifold's pretty much like, universe, I've asked you for a lot. I need to ask for a lot more. We need to get out of here. And they did, just in the nick of time. So in New York, we got signals falling out the sky. And it seems like I'm going to take that as a sign that this is over. So Professor Xavier is still being held in the Orchis facility. He knows what just happened and he's proud of his X-Men. But the Kitty Pryde kicks the shit out of this door where I guess Professor's being held at. Her and Ms. Marvel are looking for Professor Xavier to pretty much take care of him. They're looking around. They're like, he's not here. So then they leave. And Professor Xavier is pretty much like, I've always had the ability to pretty much make people see what they want to see or make them not see what I want. So the Manifold's like, there's something wrong with my teleportation. We're not where we're supposed to be. And he's like, bloody hell. And then we see it's Latuca. And Latuca is pretty much hiding all the X-Men from Enigma. Like, we really need to sit down and discuss how powerful Latuca is. Like, I know she comes from Morocco, and Morocco, they're all like Omega level mutants. But Latuca is beyond Omega level. Like, we really need to have a discussion on how powerful Latuca is, because if she can hide them from Enigma, then she is extremely powerful. And Latuca pretty much goes to Scott and it's like, now that you're here with your heart, the universe was headed in a place that it wasn't going to come back from, but now that you're here, it might have a shot. So the Manifold gets everybody to Krakoa, and then Storm's like, by the goddess. And we see it's Apocalypse. And he pretty much was able to save Krakoa, and the island, the Pacific side of Krakoa, is fine and is actually flourishing. So now that has me wondering what the hell is going to happen to Krakoa, because if you listen to solicits, and I don't listen to solicits, I just watch other YouTubers and they talk about the solicits. They're pretty much talking about all the other books. None of them take place on Krakoa. So what are they going to do with Krakoa? Please let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen. So on the last page, we see Scott, and he's talking to Jean in his head. Well, he hopes he's talking to Jean in his head. And he's like, Latuca said that my heart will save us all. But I gave my heart to you, Jean. So you need to bring the love. And when you bring the love, bring that Phoenix fire with you. So we got 2 more books, people. We got Rise of the Power of X number 5. And we got X-Men 700, or X-Men number 35. Are you guys excited about this? Are you ready to see the end? Are you ready for a new beginning? Please let me know in the comments.